Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you on this evening? I don't have any weather adjectives for you today.
It's okay. Weather adjectives have been pretty well, actually over on our side it's been kind of hit or miss with rain, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that I'm doing okay, a little tired, but I'm okay. How are things over on your in your neck of the woods?
Same, same. Doing okay. A little tired. Had a very active, busy weekend, and still recovering from that a little bit. But
Hmm.
otherwise, I'm doing well.
Well, hopefully we can break the cycle of both of us being tired and get some animation kind of underway today and talk some video games and stuff, huh?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. I love it. Well, we were
Uh,
chatting. Well, what are you working on tonight? First off.
Let me get that going. All right. I'm going to switch gears. We're going to go into Act 3 of
Okay.
our cartoon. We're going to work on Warhog stuff today.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of warp in. I'm going to try to add in Warhog stuff left and right. Like
Okay.
wherever I see it, I'll start trying to pop it in. So some of this animation, again, we've already recycled a lot. We're going to recycle a lot of it because we've built up a library now. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, we have the Warhog running towards camera here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably start dropping that in and start kind of playing around. So that's kind of the idea. Um, but yeah.
All right.
Um, Now on your side though, yeah, there's plenty that we could talk about because you just got back from GDC in San Francisco,
I
so
did. I
there's plenty of
did.
video game
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're gonna be video game talk heavy tonight.
I mean, unless you want to talk about White Lotus or season two of Severance, but I think we already feel
Uh,
like 2 weeks ago. Well, we haven't spoken about the season finale. That's for sure.
yeah, that's true. Boy, that's a tough one. Well, White Lotus, I can't remember if we talked about the stream on the stream or not. I'm not a fan of White Lotus.
We
So
probably
I'm
have
not. I
years
didn't.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up on it after season two. I tried to give it a chance. I just couldn't get into it. So
hmm
season three, I am completely just checked out. I didn't even watch it or it's don't seem I don't particularly care. I like the writer. What's
Yeah,
his
Mike
name?
White. Yeah,
Mike
like
White.
yeah.
Like I enjoyed his animated film. He wrote the animated film with the ducks going, migrating, the migration, whatever it's called.
Oh
That
yeah.
was good. Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
wrote that.
hmm
Great. It was a great little, cute little animated movie. But yeah, as far as the White Lotus stuff, I couldn't get into it. So yeah, let's see if we can kind of leapfrog that and talk about either Severance or games.
Well, I mean, Severance, it's dangerous to talk about. It's
Okay.
still very fresh, but it was great. I don't know what your thoughts were, but I know the last time we talked, I was starting to get a little bit anxious for them to start resolving some questions here and there, and I thought for the finale they absolutely delivered on that. They resolved a lot of things, answered a lot of questions. And then set up some new questions to be asked for next season. So I was thoroughly satisfied with it. I don't think the ending was as insane as the ending of first season was, but I don't know how you really top that. But the
Hmm.
the directing on that episode was just unbelievable, though. I mean, there are two
Hmm.
scenes in particular that are just wow. Just I mean, just absolutely wowed me. And and it's just yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to go into it in too many details, but just there are two moments in that episode that you just watch again. You rewind it when the episode's over, and you just watch it again because it's so unbelievably compelling. Like the cinematography, the directing, the performances, especially the performances in the second one. Like because as you can imagine, with everything in the Severance floor kind of falling apart over the course of the episode, some crazy things happen, and innies and outies are mixing left and right, and it was just very the performances of those actors were unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like dogs and cats living together type of a thing, mass hysteria,
Mass
like Bill Murray
hysteria.
would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you on this one. It's gonna be there's no debate. I thought it was a great episode. It alleviated my fears as well. Like I was getting kind of antsy with two episodes where they didn't talk about our lovable core characters at all, and they went with the
Hmm.
side characters a little bit more. I didn't really. I know it was important for Gemma to get fleshed out for an episode and have something dedicated to her. Um, the Miss Cobell episode, this is where I started getting kind of antsy again. But yeah, the last two episodes of the season were terrific. Yeah, I mean, I have minor. I mean, if I'm gonna have any minor, minor critiques, I mean, I have a one or two, but I'd rather
Hmm.
focus on the positive. Let's. What are the scenes you're talking about in particular that you thought were like phenomenal?
Well,
From the
the
last.
the one conversation with a video camera
Uh-huh.
early on in the
Yeah.
episode was just absolutely bonkers and
Mm-hmm.
wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just phenomenally acted, phenomenally written, just all over,
Mm-hmm.
just excellent. And then the last scene leading into the final credits with the characters running through the hallways trying to escape.
Yeah, it was funny about the last scene. Was it trying to be like a throwback to like a 1970s ending type? That's what it felt like to me,
I
like
got
a
I got like
like
Logan's Runs
throwback.
vibe out of it
Uh-huh.
a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, I agree with you. There was a bit of a throwback element to it, but just
Yeah.
the transitions over the course of that. I mean, and it's like a 5 minute long sequence, and
Yeah.
it was an absolute roller coaster of not just sort of like the tension of what was happening, but then the nature of the relationships that are going on there, and how it's affecting the next steps in the journey. I mean, it was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, really just really was just it was just incredibly compelling. I mean, I haven't
Mm-hmm.
yet, but I'm almost certainly gonna restart season two at some point here, just to kind of
Just
take it in and catch up. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like I thoroughly enjoyed it too. I was really happy with it.
Hmm.
Looking forward to seeing what they do next. Obviously. But here's my only, and this is my only, and this is a super minor gripe that kind of took me out of the show. And you know how it is with me, I get caught up in really dumb, silly things, persnickety things. So my persnicketiness showed up when Milchek started performing with the band, and I was
Hmm.
watching and going, "Wow, how much time and effort did Milchek devote to coordinating with this band to dance this way and to do all this stuff just to do this presentation in anticipation that Mark will succeed in doing, finishing up his project. Like,
Hmm.
where do you spend the time and effort? Like, because obviously Milchek's always in the office. There's no way he would have had enough time to coordinate that type of physical activity with that many people and do that much choreography with dancing. And you know what I mean? Like, this is where, yeah, I can tell, Eric. I think you're like going, "Oh my God, James, what are you?
you got you
Why do you go
you've
down
gone down a
these?"
rabbit hole. I respect the journey, but I don't
It's like
necessarily agree with the destination.
I know.
I
It's
mean,
so
yeah,
it's super nitpicky.
I
I
feel
totally
you, but I mean, I guess I just had flashbacks to the waffle party from last season, and I'm like, okay,
yes. Uh-huh.
an organization who does weird things for unknown reasons, and it is always prepared for it. So um, in terms of the band itself, they were an entire department, right? They were an entire department of
Yeah,
Sever. They
yeah,
established so
sure.
that's all they do is they rehearse that routine,
The
right?
hair yeah,
So
that
that's
yeah.
fine, right? I hear you in terms of like when does Milchek have the time to um, prepare for it, but I mean there was the dancing scene in season one, so we know Milchek has the chops, right?
But yeah, that's not the question. Isn't his talent? Is he's not a talented dancer? But here's my issue with it.
Yeah.
With the waffle party, that felt very natural. Everybody was doing their own dancing, and it
Mm-hmm.
was nothing coordinated with it. It was very natural, spontaneous.
Okay.
But the celebration dance for season two, it's like they felt like we need to do something to top the waffle party dance. I know, we'll do a big production, and that's what it felt kind of forced. Like you could just do waffle party with whipped cream, and make it still more spontaneous. Not this complete halftime show NFL production that was kind of going on with Military. And again, we're going down this. I feel bad even taking you down this rabbit hole because it is so minor. The episode was 98% out of 100. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
this is just being super nitpicky. It did not ruin the show for me at all. I'm just simply just talking. Just it did take me out for a second. That's all it is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I guess yeah, it didn't. The show is so insane.
yeah,
Um, it never really occurred to me, right? As far as the weirdest things that have happened in Severance at this point, that didn't even get to like a 3 on my weirdo limit.
uh-huh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I hear where you're coming from. I respect it. I it was not something that took me out of the episode, to say the
Yeah,
least.
that's good. See, and I think the rest of, I mean, I think anybody who watched the show wouldn't have even thought about that type of lunacy.
You are the only
But
person
that
who has
was,
mentioned that, yes, to me. And I know a lot of people who watch Severance, so you are
yeah,
in a
yeah,
unique club in that respect.
yeah. Now there's a lot of let's go to some online controversy with it though. Like some
Hmm.
people saying that that wasn't Helly, that was actually Helena at the end, and she was impersonating Helly, kind of a thing. Then the actress that plays Helly was saying, no, I was actually Helly in that role. Any thoughts on that type of stuff that was happening during the show? Any conspiracy theories you saw
I mean, yeah,
that you picked
there were
up
a
on?
million opportunities for conspiracy theories. I think Cobell's motivations are thrown starkly into question based on a few lines of dialogue that occurred towards the end of the episode. But I
Hmm.
don't think there was any mystery that Cobell was not exactly a trustworthy partner. So who's to say? Maybe she still is working for the greater good. But my suspicion is what it has always been, which is that she's not. That she's definitely got some ulterior motives.
Hmm.
Could it have been could it have been Helena and not Helly? Yeah, I guess so. I That's a definitely a viable point. I feel like I feel like that they if they go to that well too often though, they're going to lose the trust of the
Yeah, I'm with
fans,
you on that.
and you're going to have a
Yeah.
situation with like, Andy Kaufman, where he died of cancer and he had poisoned the well so much about what was a bit and what wasn't that he had armies of fans who to this
Yeah.
day still think that he's alive, and it's just that it's the longest running bit in history, right?
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
so the Helena, I know that Helena's going to come back, and I know that there is going to be conflict, and tension, right? I mean, I love what Britt Lauer said, that they're not in a love triangle so much as a love hexagon, and I thought that was
Hmm.
an excellent way to describe the sort of fucked up nature of the love relationship between Mark and Gemma and Helly, slash
Hmm.
Helena, and um, uh, I I know that so I know that conflict isn't over, but my instinct says that that was Helly, that it would
Hmm.
be if it were Helena, they would have dropped a hint to imply it. And also, if it is Helena, it undermines an incredibly poignant moment in the episode where Mark has to make a very hard choice. And if it
Yeah.
turns out that that was Helena, it makes that entire scene worthless. And so that just seems like a mistake to me. So I am not gonna give in to the conspiracy theories in this instance, and I'm going to say with confidence that it actually was Helly. And that's not to say that that deception might not come back at some point, but I feel like they've gone to that well already, and they need to drink from it carefully.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm pretty much I'm in agreement with you on that, but I do say there's some things worth lending some fun, if you want a fanboy theory over it. If you compare Helena to Helly, you know that there's certain type of personality traits that both of them carry.
Mm-hmm.
Helena is more quote unquote selfish. She's a little, they're caricatures of what they, of what they represent. Helena is more selfish, more, conniving, more, you know, thoughtful with what she's doing, whereas Helly is much more spontaneous and much more innocent in a way, and almost and loving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you see, whenever you see Helly, you get those traits, and then whenever you see Helena, you know by the way she acts and the way she says stuff that that's Helena. So by the time you, and then there's a moment where, and I don't know, was it like season episode 9 or whatever, where Dylan talks to Helly and says, I couldn't tell who you are," paraphrasing it, but he
Right.
was pretty much saying, "We don't even know you. We don't know who you are."
Yeah.
And then, and he leaves it at that. But he's also jaded, but he couldn't tell. And I
Right.
think I don't, and I think that because the show is so meticulous with how they put details in, that wasn't an accident. Um, and then so when you get to the last part, and then you see Helly come to Mark and yell out to him, and even during the build up to that moment, Helly's the type that's like self-sacrificing. And instead, she was doing things that are more self-serving. And even at the end, when she forces Mark to make a decision between her and Gemma, that's what that I could kind of see some of the arguments as to why they think it was Helena for those reasons. But also, you also can evolve as a as a character, whether you're in or an outie. And Mark S inside or whichever Mark was inside, he evolved too. So Helly can evolve too, and she can become more jaded.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
I don't know. So I am with you. I do think it was still Helly, but there's some compelling arguments to say if they stay static as characters, that was not they a lot of people think that's not what Helly would have done. That's something that Helena would have done to force that kind of decision on Mark to be self-serving. And it even gets juxtaposed when you even see the intimacy scenes, like with the colors and how they were handled between both. I think this was just another example of that. That could be. But anyway, so that's found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I see those arguments, and I guess that could be accurate. I don't. Yeah, again, like any conspiracy exists because someone can
Hmm.
come up with a rational sounding
Yeah,
explanation for it. That doesn't mean it's logical. Um,
yeah.
I think that you're right. The show is meticulous, and the lines of dialogue that you're referencing, I think, are hinting at the conflict between Helly and Helena aren't isn't over, right?
Hmm.
But I don't think that
Hmm.
necessarily means that Helena is posing as Helly again.
Hmm.
I also
Hmm.
think, and maybe I'm just a far less forgiving human being than some people are. But if that happened again, if Helena um,
Pulls the wool over your eyes
pulls the wool over
again.
you again, then that's it.
Hmm.
I'm done. Like I'm
It's
sorry.
fatigue.
It's yeah,
It's viewer. Yeah.
yeah. It's
I hear.
totally
I
viewer
hear
fatigue. I'm like, nope. This was an interesting twist the first time it happened. Now it's just lazy writing, in my opinion.
you. Yeah,
Right?
and stop doing that.
Do something else.
Yeah.
You can have this conflict between Helly and Helena without the oh I pulled the wool over your eyes thing, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's my opinion, and the writers seem smart enough to see that. So I'm kind of trusting in their talent to not be so kind of predictable, right? Because if
Yeah.
season two comes, I mean, if season three comes around and it turns out that it was Helena in that scene,
Ugh.
then I mean, like,
I'd be
well,
mad.
I'd be mad. I'd be mad.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be exciting. That wouldn't be like I'm invested in this love hexagon now, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and so it would. I just think it would be a cheap trick, and I don't think it would be true to the spirit of the show, and I don't think it would be true to the spirit of the characters either.
Hmm.
That's my thoughts, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm hoping for the same. I'm hoping the conspiracies are wrong on it, but they do lay out compelling evidence is all.
Sure.
But it was funny. That's the fun. That's the beauty of the show is it gets you have a successful show when you get conspiracy theories. Period.
Oh yeah. I mean,
That
the X
part's
Files
yeah
had a million of them. It was one of the
yeah
first,
yeah
actually.
yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully they can hopefully they have it. I'm hoping it's written out already. At least the general storyline and the basic beats are written out, and then they get that episodes pumped out within the next year or two. Hopefully you don't have to wait too long.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a little bit more about Dan Erickson, the creator of the show.
Uh-huh.
He apparently
Hmm.
wrote the pilot 10 years ago,
Oh,
and has been trying to
well,
get
he's
it
had
made
some
ever
time.
since. Yeah, so I
Okay.
suspect, because I do this, I've got a pilot that I've been trying to sell
Uh-huh.
forever as well.
Sure.
Um, and I know every aspect of every character. I know their entire story arc across the entire show now. I know every character they're going to meet and what season they're going to meet them in because it's a world that I've lived in for several years while working on the project, right? Um,
Hmm.
I'm not like Dan Gore or Mike Schur who are so talented they just pitch a random plot and it gets picked up before they've had the time to think out the whole storyline, right? Or J.J. Abrams who just
Hmm.
doesn't give a flying fuck.
Hmm.
Um, you know, so I if Erickson is anything like me, then I suspect he knows everything that's going to happen broadly. I don't think he's written every episode. I don't think he has, each discrete moment worked out, but I think I suspect that he knows what is in each season and what happens to each character, broadly speaking, in each season.
Hmm.
So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, it actually makes me, I mean, as a fan, it makes me feel better that he's actually had this kind of written down for X amount of years already. So that
Mm-hmm.
means that he's had a chance to let it simmer on the stove, and he's
Mm-hmm.
probably adjusted things here and there. And that's why it's probably so good, is because he's probably ironed out a lot of the wrinkles over the years.
Yeah, it's a
And
diamond. I mean, it's
yeah,
right.
so yeah, here's to hoping.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
shall see.
it was a great ending. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't top season one's ending,
No,
obviously, but it's terrific. It was still good. I'm still on board. Yeah, great show.
it would not surprise me that the last scene in the last episode of season two was a scene that Erickson wrote 8 years ago or something, and had
Hmm.
been like wanting to shoot that scene because it was so meticulously done. Like every single beat was so perfectly orchestrated to work the way it did. It would not surprise me if that was a scene that had existed in his head for a decade, right? Same thing with
Hmm.
the last scene in season one, right? Like those both of those scenes, and it would not surprise me if he has the last scene in every season already,
Yeah,
figured out.
yeah.
So
Um,
anyway, but yeah, so Severance was good. Enjoyed it. I don't know that you watch it, but Reacher season three just finished up too, and that was pretty good. Kind of,
you've been telling me about Reacher for a while. I've been meaning to watch it. I've been told by a few friends of mine to watch the show if you just want to kind of check your brain
yeah,
out and watch it.
yep,
Good old fashioned beat 'em up
yep,
action guy kind of a show,
yep, yep.
right? And I think it's how you described it
Yeah,
too.
exactly. It's silly. It's not intellectual. But Alan Ritchson he owns the character and he's believable in the character and the mysteries are fun and the bad guys
Hmm.
are sort of uh, evil enough and certifiably villainous. Um,
Yeah.
and it moves along. There's not like any dead episodes. It's very simple. It is the antithesis of Severance, but it
Okay.
is entertaining, in a different way, but still very entertaining. So I do highly recommend it if you like sort of almost throwback action. If you like throwback action movies from the late '80s and '90s, then this is kind of in that same wheelhouse with
Uh-huh.
more modern sensibilities, but nonetheless, it's Uberman goes and kills all the bad guys, right?
Hmm.
He's got the best body, he's got the biggest brain, you know, all the ladies
Yeah.
love him, right?
Yeah. Of
He's
course.
he's basically lives like a nomad, the ultimate stoicist, right? Like just the absolute kind of traditional male power fantasy, but in a good way because
Okay.
he's not a sleazeball, right? He's an eminently
Uh-huh.
likable and respectable character.
Hmm.
So you take away all of the excesses of '80s and '90s action movies and replace them with a more modern sensibility, but leave in the kind of healthy aspect of masculinity, and you get Reacher. So I really recommend it. It's a fun show. It's not going to win any awards except for maybe special effects or fight choreography, um,
Okay.
but it's quite good. It's quite good.
Oh wait, so you're saying fight choreography is actually pretty decent in the
The
show?
fight scenes are yeah. There's a fight sequence at the end of season eight that they had been building up to the whole or season three that they had been building up to for the whole season, and it was great. It was super fun and it's gory too. It's violent. There's blood everywhere, like on the level of
Hmm.
of John Wick. So it's
Hmm.
not PG-13. It's definitely an R-rated type of show.
Hmm.
So
So this is my turn to as much as you were asking me about White Lotus and everything you talked about with Jack Reacher, it makes me wonder if you've actually bothered to watch Daredevil at all with Daredevil Reborn
I will.
or Rebirth.
I don't want to give Disney any more money than I have to, so
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna wait until Andor season 2 has completely come out and all the episodes are
And then you'll
out,
watch everything.
and then I'm gonna get on it for 1 month, watch everything, and then cancel my subscription. So
Okay. So, well, we'll table
we'll have to table
discussion
it
on
for
that
a
one, but
while, yeah, because
yeah, but
episode 1 of Andor doesn't premiere till later this month, so there's still a ways to
mm,
go.
yeah.
Or I guess later
Um,
in April, even though
okay.
technically it's only 2 hours until April at this point.
Yeah. Cool.
But
Um,
yeah, but I will watch it. I heard some people really liked it, some people really hated it. Some people found it okay. So it's not one of those easily categorizable shows from fan and critical reception because it's just all over the place.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious about where it goes.
Yeah, and this is where it'd be fun to talk to you about it
I
when we
mean,
get to that point.
are you enjoying it to this point?
I am just exactly what you described. That's where I'm at with the show.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
it so far it does not the first couple seasons of Daredevil. I think we touched on this maybe last stream or the stream before, but they were terrific. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed those. This one is trying to kind of capture that magic again, but it's a little bit off a bit. But what holds it is, I mean, the cast is great.
Right, right.
Vincent, how do you pronounce his last name?
D'Onofrio,
D'Onofrio.
yeah.
D'Onofrio. Yeah, he is. He holds every scene as Kingpin, and
Hmm.
so I will watch it even if it's mediocre or less. I'll still watch it because of him. He's just so. He's just. I just enjoy his everything he's been in, every role he's done. I've always enjoyed it, and the guy that plays Daredevil, he's terrific too. I can't remember
Charlie
his name.
Cox.
Yeah, Charlie Cox. He's great. I never really cared. I was always neutral towards Uh, uh, okay, the minor spoiler, but I mean, I think you've seen it in the trailers, but the Punisher does
Yeah,
show up,
yeah. I
and
knew
so
I
the
knew he
actor
was
that
in the show. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's not really a spoiler. That actor, he's a great actor, but
Yeah,
I
John
just don't think,
Bernthal.
yeah, John Bernthal's a great actor, but I think he was miscast for Punisher. I just never
Mm,
thought he was the right look for Punisher. I just feel like he's just too. I mean, he's cut and he's built, but he's not the same Punisher. Like to me, who represented the best Punisher? Which is the best Punisher actor? It came out a couple years back. Which one was it? Um, Ray Stevenson was
oh
my favorite
yeah,
version of the
that's right.
Punisher.
Oh my
That
God.
guy, that
Yeah.
guy was perfect representation of the Punisher. Um, and I was hoping they would find a guy like that was a little bit more grizzled. I mean, John Bernthal's great, but he's just but he's not Ray Stevenson. Sadly, Ray Stevenson's no
Yeah.
longer with us. He
R.I.P.
passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a great actor too. They were all good actors, but yeah,
Hmm.
minor. It's not as persnickety as my other stuff. I'll just say, it's just a preference
I
for
got
me.
you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that you didn't say Dolph Lundgren, but I mean, I guess nobody's
Oh,
perfect.
come on, man. Come on, you got to give me some more credit than that. Come on. Jeez. I was so, as a comic book nerd back in the late 80s, whatever, and then hearing that a Punisher movie got greenlit and then Dolph Lundgren was cast, I was so angry. I was thinking like back then, like comic book movies will never get any respect. They'll never. Nobody will ever go to these movies. How stupid and boneheaded that they keep doing stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, child me was way wrong, obviously, because now it's full circle. Now they're just getting ruined,
Right. I
left and
know.
right, more than anything.
Everything goes
So
full circle.
yeah,
Nothing stays perfect forever. I'll tell you that much.
yeah. But yeah, so far it's okay. It's enough to be watchable, but
Hmm.
it's not as good as first two seasons or so of Daredevil so far, in my opinion.
In my
Um,
circle of friends, that's the general consensus is that it's good, but it
mhm.
doesn't reach the levels of the original series. So,
Okay, yeah, yeah, which is a bummer. But again, we're only halfway through the season, so
so
we'll
there's no
see. We'll
telling. It
see
could
where it goes.
change. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's most of the TV going on right now, for me at
Mm-hmm.
least.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think next week we'll only have one topic to talk about, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that's happening in 2 days apparently,
Two
right?
days, yeah. The curtain is being pulled back on the Switch 2 finally. Any any
Mm-hmm.
um any major predictions that you want to see come true?
I have been completely on the sidelines, and I've been actually kind of just watching other people make predictions, including yourself too, like just
Yeah.
talking about stuff. And I've been just enjoying the sideshow.
Yeah.
I don't know what to predict. I don't know what to think. I mean, there's a lot of things I could hope for. Like I love the rumor about that new C button on the Joy-Con that
Yeah, being a
might let you,
casting button.
yeah, be a casting button. That would be really cool. But other than
Yeah.
that, nothing else. I have no other opinion on it right now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably, I'm curious, like, are they going to have multiple color versions of it, on launch day, or is it just going to be the classic black, like,
I
I
you
wonder,
know,
like, what they're,
I'm certain that they'll do it is like an all it's much more monochromatic than the original one was.
mm-hmm,
Or
mm-hmm.
the I mean the option that you like you could get just the gray one or you could get the one with the Mario colors. And I think most
Oh,
people
that's what it
got the
was.
one with
Okay.
the Mario colors.
Uh-huh.
This one the primary color seems to be orange and blue. Um
Okay.
which I'm not complaining about. Orange is my favorite color, so I'm like, all right,
Oh, okay.
love it.
All right.
And orange has been a color that's been a part of sort of Nintendo hardware lore since back in the GameCube.
So, oh wait, so you talk about the orange accent, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
the
mainly
accents. Everything
black.
else is just gray. So yeah,
Yeah,
the
okay.
color accents underneath the Joy-Cons, um, is I think the only color that's going to be available. I think otherwise the
Okay.
unit will be completely gray.
So no matter what it is, you're just going to be buying colors. You're going to be buying accent colors
Yeah,
on launch day.
basically. Yeah, on launch day.
Huh.
No, I'm certain as the system matures and they're looking to get more accessories sold, they'll release new versions with new colors and full color splashes and things like that. But I suspect on launch day it'll be um,
Hmm.
pretty basic.
Yeah. It's funny when you're talking about the orange. I remember the last time I saw orange being like a huge flagship type of colors. I believe it was for the 3DS when they had the creamsicle like white and then the
Mm-hmm.
orange accent. I think it was
Mm-hmm. I
really
remember that
cool.
one. Yep.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That was like a really cool color setup. I never had that one, but
Yeah.
I always thought that was a really cool color combo with the
In
hardware.
back in the GameCube days, I was still at Digipen when Digipen was occupying a building across the street from NOA, and I had
Hmm.
a buddy who worked at the as a one of those customer service reps that did like game counseling calls when back when Nintendo still did that.
Hmm.
Um, and he went and bought me a GameCube like 2 weeks before it came out to the public because obviously he was a Nintendo employee. Um, and it was a hard choice because purple was the color that was like the default color, right?
Hmm.
But then the other color that you could get at launch was orange, and I was really torn
Okay.
about which one to get. I ultimately got the purple one. I just went with the standard. But yeah, and now like they released the purple and orange Joy Cons, which is what I always use on my Switch now. So yeah, big fan of orange. Actually, it's weird. Orange and purple are my two favorite colors, and so it's just like
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
completely coincidental. I mean, maybe not given how obsessed I am with Nintendo, but yeah, orange and purple are my two favorite colors. So, um, the fact that orange and purple have been colors, a part of sort of Nintendo's color palette since the GameCube
Yeah.
is so.
Yeah. That is pretty funny.
Well, no, purple since the Super NES. All of the buttons on the
Hmm.
on the Super NES
Yeah.
controller and on the console itself were purple. Purple and gray were the
Yeah.
color palette on that one.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
so purple has been around since the Super NES. Orange has been around since the GameCube, and yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. It's funny with the GameCube. I ended up getting just a good old fashioned black version, I think,
Mm,
of it. But I remember the GameCube being associated with purple accents on stuff though. It's
yeah, I
been a
mean,
while. I haven't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were like the whole system was monochromatic back in the early days, and I think they
Hmm.
released um, alternate colors like they always do down the road. But yeah, it was purple, orange, and black were the colors that it launched in.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah, same.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. And are you gonna pre-order one, or are you just gonna try to go? Are you gonna try to go with the chaos and try to buy one just at the store and go to a brick and mortar and try to do it that way, or pre-order?
I'm not interested in being a part of the rat race. I want one, but I'm too old to care about getting it on launch day anymore. Um,
Okay.
there are rumors coming from retailers that it's just going to be a repeat. Retailers are leaking that they're getting limited stock per store, and
Oh my
that
gosh.
you know, and I know Nintendo said that they're trying to take efforts to minimize scalping, but what does that mean? And with the advent of like, bots and AI becoming extremely good at just buying units, there's I don't know that there's any way short of them making as many switches as like Apple makes for the
Hmm.
iPhone. I just don't see, and I don't think that they're doing that. I just don't see. I don't see that there's any chance for there not to be sort of the same story that happens nowadays with console launches. Scalpers buy all the units, charge 100%, 200, 400% markup on it,
Hmm.
and then you just kind of have to wait for the fervor to die down. My only hope is that it's not like the fiasco from the Wii and and the
Oh
Switch and the
man, that
PlayStation
was
5 and the
insane.
Xbox Series X, where it was impossible to get any of those for in upwards of a year, you know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the one upside about the Wii U being such a failure is I walked in on launch day and I was like, "Do you have any Wii U?" And they're like, "Yeah, we got tons."
I can't remember, on launch day for the Wii U, were they anticipating it to be sold out? I
I
don't
think
remember
they
what
I
the,
I think they wanted it to be. I think
yeah.
the shine had long since gone off of the Wii, and it had largely been relegated to just party devices that were mostly just served to collect dust, right? Um, and so when the Wii U came out, and they decided to keep the moniker but gave it a very weird name. So on top of the fervor for Wii having long since died away, and then the weird name on the console, and this very novel controller interface that they frankly didn't do a great job of explaining. Um, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that it completely tanked. I mean, every part of the messaging around that platform was a huge misstep, in my opinion.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think the Switch 2, I don't know if it'll do as well as the Switch 1, but if they do have a way of tying it in with the Switch 1 with that cast button, I think that will give it a lot more mileage.
Yeah, and um, I think since they're not deviating um, dramatically from the basic premise of the first one, my hope is that they've done a significant technology leap, because that's really something that will if the leap is so dramatic, like if it's like switched to PS5 dramatic, and I don't think it will be, but if it can get somewhere in
Yeah.
that ballpark, then that will be something that will really attract the more casual users, right? Because it'll be
Hmm.
something that it's the same reason why casual fans upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5, right? Oh, cool, wow! Like, look at this new technology. It's a platform I'm
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah.
Um, um, and um, and and I think that if they can take a page from Sony's book, then they'll be okay. It's just a matter of can they can they pull off what Sony manages to pull off with the PS5 every time they do an iteration on the PlayStation, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna get one eventually whenever I don't have to murder people to get one or sit in a line for 8 hours in the middle of summer. Um,
I'm gonna try my hand at trying to get one pre-ordered and see what happens,
yeah,
and see if I can even get one in. I'll let you know if it happens or not.
yeah,
But
yeah. I
I
mean
have no
the
problem.
rumors are there's gonna be major shortages though.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
unbelievable! Wow. And after all these months of Nintendo, oh, don't worry,
yeah. They've
we're
been
gonna have
reassuring us, and
plenty.
then there's been all these rumors bubbling up from various stores saying, yeah, we're getting like nothing. We're getting almost no stock. Then you
Oh
combine
my
that with the fact that
gosh.
scalpers are still a thing, right? And the only way
Oh,
to
they're even
defeat
worse now.
yeah, and the only way to defeat scalpers is by literally saturating the market um,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
units, like just absolutely saturating it. And Apple can do that because they know that they're eventually going to sell all those units, and because they have infinite money.
Hmm.
And Nintendo could probably do that too, but I think
I
that they're
mean,
still
don't they?
somewhat burned from the Wii U.
Yeah, but isn't Nintendo at a point where they're at infinite money glitch like Apple at
I
this
do think
point?
that they have infinite money glitch, yeah, but they're still a much more conservative company than Apple is.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's just,
Yeah.
I think, their business philosophy.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and that's been there for forever.
and that's just
Yeah.
been their way since the very beginning. Hiroshi
Man, and then
Amauchi instilled that in them.
what drives me crazy is they've done this with even with their games. I remember like Ocarina of Time came out, how hard it was
Mm-hmm.
to get at certain points.
Mm-hmm.
Certain games you just can't get them. You just can't find them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this just feel yeah. I hope this DNA has been wiped off, wiped from the face of the earth, but clearly not. And
We'll
it always
see.
happens with
Yeah.
Nintendo. We never see it with Sony or Xbox. It's
Yep.
never an issue to get a game,
Oh no,
but
well, a game, but yeah, I mean, like you couldn't get an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 for the first year that they were out.
it was so. Here's the thing: is do we chalk that up to COVID though, and everybody was just kind of
That's possible.
panic buying?
That is
You
possible.
know, it just
Uh,
seemed like such a weird anomaly because of the timing of those units that came out. I remember like getting text, "Hey, do you want an Xbox? I got one." Like it was like a
yeah,
pot of gold at the end of the
yeah,
rainbow
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like saying, "Nah, I don't really need one.
Mm-mm.
I'm good." Um, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, maybe I mean, hopefully the rest of the consoles don't adopt that philosophy. But I just feel like it's an anomaly. But I don't know.
We shall see.
Um,
We shall
yeah.
see. In 2 days, we'll know what it's capable of, how powerful it is, when the pre-orders are going to start, when its launch day is. We're going to know everything in 2 days, and then the internet will move on to some other speculation about it, and then we'll just go through the cycle all over again.
Did you download uh Miyamoto like introduced the app, the Nintendo app, right, on their Nintendo
I
Direct?
did download it. It's
So
because you
it's
knew I
so hard to
would.
of
Yeah.
course. I was like, oh my gosh, if he's the one hawking this app, Eric's gonna download that thing.
Well, I mean, I was
Yeah.
going to do it whether, it didn't really matter who was hawking it. I download all the apps
Oh,
out of
okay.
curiosity. It's worthless,
Uh-huh.
and I'll delete it
Yeah.
whenever I get around to it.
Oh, it's not even that good, huh?
No, it's just a marketing tool. It's
Ah,
literally they've even set it so you can set a widget so it add a Nintendo specific calendar to your phone screen to give you updates about new launches or new promotional events going on. It is
uh-huh.
it is the most overt piece of marketing. It is
So it's just an app with an advertisement in it,
it is
pretty
an
much.
advertising app. That is literally all it is, and it is
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really funny.
It serves no practical function at all. So,
Yeah, I mean that I mean at least Alarmo does a job, which is wake you up. Although
yeah,
I don't understand the fascination with that thing either, but
okay, I will tell you this, it is the best alarm clock I've ever owned.
uh,
Um,
uh, but who likes an alarm clock is my
well,
question.
okay.
They're kind of evil. They wake you up from sleep,
Well,
right?
I
Like
mean, yeah, but I
who
don't
likes one of those,
if
right? Yeah.
well, yeah, but if I didn't have an alarm clock, then I'd wake up at like 11 a.m. every day because,
Okay. All
so I
right.
have to have alarm clock. So let's take it from the position that as a person who has to wake up from an alarm clock, it's the best alarm clock I've ever owned.
Huh.
Um,
Okay.
so much of it is because of the very good motion sensing technology. Um, I set the time for when the alarm starts, and it goes off at 9:30. It is very good at detecting when I get out of bed. It turns itself off automatically. Um, I never have to touch it, right? Yeah, once you set it and you get its position and you set calibrate the motion sensors,
Yeah.
you don't have to touch it anymore unless you're like going to manually override it to turn the alarm off or something like that. And so yeah, it just sits on my nightstand. Now
Wow.
it's
Okay.
I don't think it would be good for people who get up at different times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does use that motion technology, but because it's just me in my bed, it works perfectly, right? And then also, it's got a ton of different, not a ton, it's got like 6 or 7 different games that has 5 or so tracks per game, right? So there's, 35, 36 musical tracks that you can either set it to play one track every day, or you can select a track from one of the available games, or you can just have it pick randomly in just every day, have a different track that plays. And as far as waking up, it's a hell of a lot more fun to wake up to Nintendo music and sound effects than it is,
Yeah,
you know.
sure,
So if I have to
sure.
be woken up artificially, I'd prefer it to be by Nintendo music and Nintendo sound effects. And like as you get up, it starts like it rewards you for moving. So the alarm starts and it starts quiet and then it gets louder and louder and louder, right?
Yeah,
Which I
yeah.
like too. Sort of eases you into the waking state. But as you start moving, it plays sound effects from the game franchise that you've got it set to. So it'll play like Mario jumping sound effects or Mario Kart item usages or Pikmin being plucked, right? And so it just keeps rewarding you to get out of bed. And then when you do finally get out of bed and you get out of the motion sensor, then it plays like this fanfare congratulating you on waking
Oh
up in the
my
morning.
gosh. Wow,
Um,
that's so over the top.
it's so
Wow.
over the top, and I love it. And then it's also got like this nice little, as they call it, sleepy sounds, where once it's detected that you're lying in bed and you're like
Hmm.
staying there for the night,
Yeah.
um, it'll play like this soft, gentle,
Hmm.
soothing music for as long as you want, 5 minutes to an hour. And so it's nice to just you lay in bed and then it plays like a nice soothing Nintendo song for five
Hmm.
minutes as you drift off to sleep. In Plus it's got fun Nintendo graphics on the LCD screen. So it's like what more can you ask from an alarm clock as a Nintendo fan?
Okay. Wow. Well, okay. It's a lot more robust than I thought it was. I thought it was just a good old-fashioned Mario painted
No, no.
alarm clock,
There's
that you just have to bang the top of it and you start end up hating Mario after a
no,
while because
no.
it's waking you up. But I stand corrected. Wow.
It's
Very
yeah,
much more elaborate.
they put a lot of work into this
Just to wake you up.
weird
Wow.
thing. Yeah. But it's good.
Wow.
I mean, like if I ever, if I was ever sharing my bed with someone, I'd have to turn off the motion detection stuff, because the only reason it works so well for me is because I'm the only person in the bed, right?
Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah.
Um, so I always somehow end up being the perfect customer for Nintendo, just by forces beyond my control. And so it's
Hmm.
because it's just me waking up. It works exactly as advertised. But I've read reviews where like people who own cats that sleep on the bed, it triggers it,
Oh,
and
geez.
or people who are
Yeah.
married and they don't get up at the same time, that will also
Hmm.
trigger it. So,
Mm.
I'm sort of in the sweet spot that they're looking for. But even still, even if the motion technology aspect doesn't work, it can still function just fine as a regular alarm clock.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, but yeah, that's my review of the Alarmo. As someone
Did
who
not
needs an
expect.
alarm clock to wake up, it's the best alarm clock I've ever owned.
I have to admit, I was not expecting an in-depth discussion about Alarmo tonight on our stream, but here we are. That's what you get whenever you tune in and
Yeah, you
we're
never
doing
know. And
animation
yeah,
and
we started with Severance and we ended with Alarmo.
Alarmo. Yeah. I think that's a great place to kind of end our stream for tonight. I got a lot of like as you can see here.
Yeah,
I got a lot of the recycled animation from Warhogs in. So here they come coming to screen. We'll get this Calamity Jane stuff in there soon. We'll play it through, and then yeah, more Warhogs coming. And then do the standoff,
cool.
and then she stops, and yeah. So that's in a pretty good spot. We fleshed out a couple of scenes already for some rough animation, and yeah.
Very cool. Looking good. Looking good. All right, well, we'll call it there then. Why don't y'all head on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site, and you can consider subscribing to our Patreon and helping us make this cartoon a reality. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook, which presumably have since you're watching this right now. And we also have an Instagram where we post updates as well as links to the stream. So check us out on those social medias. And otherwise, we will see you next week. I think I'm not going anywhere. Finally, next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, let's catch up next week.
All
We'll
right.
keep it
Until
going.
then, good night, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Good night.